The NBA playoffs have started. We have a lot to catch up on, so let's get right into it. All right, so we're going to do a quick rundown of things that happened Friday and Saturday, and then we'll go through some of the things that happened yesterday and Sunday, since this is Monday and we have a lot to catch up on this weekend. So quickly, we'll go back to Friday night before the Warriors barely lost to the Lakers. Remember, LeBron hit that deep three to win that game. The Warriors then had to play the Grizzlies. Most people just assumed that the Warriors would win that game because they've been playing so well. Steph had been doing so great, and that they would be the 8th seed playing the Jazz. Well, that, as you can see here, did not happen. The Warriors lost to the Grizzlies. They are now eliminated from the playoffs, and the Grizzlies are the 8th seed. And now that has started some controversy, or not started, continued the controversy about whether a play-in game is the right move or not, because this was super exciting, very exciting stuff that the Warriors-Lakers got to play a one-game series, then the Warriors-Grizzlies. But now Steph, who's like the walking highlight reel, isn't in the playoffs. A lot of people are bummed about that and are upset about how that all shook out. But it is what it is. I enjoyed the whole play-in series, and I guess we'll see what the Grizzlies do now. So let's move ahead to Saturday. On Saturday, these were the games that happened. The Trailblazers Nuggets. The Trailblazers basically, they were up on the Nuggets most of this game. They started off on top and then held the lead throughout the rest. The Denver Nuggets fans are still very bitter at Carmelo Anthony. They were letting him hear it throughout this game. But this would be a awesome matchup if Jamal Murray was not hurt and was playing with the Nuggets. But the Trailblazers with Dame and CJ, it just seems like too much firepower for Jokic, or it was, at least in this first game, too much firepower for Jokic to handle alone. So that's what happened there. We move on to the Celtics Nets. In this one, the Nets started off bad. They did not look good in the first half. None of their shots were falling. They ended up shooting like 26% from three throughout the game and still came away with the win. So very impressive for them. The Celtics did have a lead at halftime and basically dominated the whole first half. And then the second half, things switched. And the Nets didn't play that great in the second half, but the Celtics couldn't make their shots in the second half. So the Nets ended up still winning by 11 points in this game, even with that rough performance. Their three stars, Kyrie, James Harden, Kevin Durant, they all balled out, had a good amount of points in this one. So the Nets are up one game in that series. Move on to the Mavericks and Clippers. This one, the Mavericks were just too much for the Clippers. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard both were over 20 points in the game, so you didn't have any playoff P showing up where he only scores like 6 points or whatever. But still, they couldn't handle the Mavericks. Mavericks came out hot. All their players seemed to have it rolling and everything. So the Mavericks went up 1-0 in this series. And then this one was super exciting Saturday night. The Bucks Heat. As you can see, the Bucks won 109-107. The Heat played really well throughout this game, and in overtime, it was 107-107. Chris Middleton hit a contested fadeaway shot at the end to give them this 109-107 lead here. So I think this one will continue. I think the Trailblazers they seem like the better team in this series. The Nets seem like the better team in this one. This one is questionable, but I still think the Mavericks have this one. And I don't know, man. I mean, the Bucks are the better team, but the Bucks were the better team last year too, and Jimmy Buckets showed up. It's probably not going to be enough this year, so I think the Bucks will continue to win in this series. But the Heat aren't just going to go quietly. It'll be a dogfight for sure. So then we'll move on to the action from yesterday. In this one, let's start with the big game. What everyone's going to be talking about is the Suns-Lakers. The story in this one, obviously the Suns won 99-90. The Lakers, Anthony Davis just did not play well at all. He had like 11 points or 13 points or something. So he had a very low point total. He was trying to stay outside too much. The biggest complaint that everyone's going to have and people are going to be talking about is he can't play at the same time Andre Drummond plays, because when Andre Drummond plays, he's down in the post. Anthony Davis is then like, oh, cool, I can go sit up by the 3-point line and put up shots and do all that. And the Lakers aren't going to win that way. Definitely not. Anthony Davis is one of the top big men. I know he prefers power forward over center, but especially with Andre Ayton and everything, he's going to have to play more center. He's going to need to be in the post, getting hacked, getting to the free throw line. He can't stay outside if the Lakers are going to have a chance. And obviously they lost here 90-99. So we'll see what they do to get back on track. Then let's go up. The late night game was the Jazz Grizzlies. Grizzlies won 112-109. The game started in the first quarter. The Jazz got like a 13-point lead, and then the Grizzlies fought back from that and basically held a decent, like 10 to 15 point lead through most of the second half. The Jazz crawled all the way back into it, and it was just too much. The story in this one was obviously Donovan Mitchell, one of the Jazz top players, was out earlier in the day. They said he was going to be back, and then something happened, or like the team decided not to play him, so he didn't play in this game. Rudy Gobert got into foul trouble, so he fouled out at the end of the game, wasn't able to be there. So those are their two best players weren't in at the end of the game. And Dillon Brooks with the Grizzlies went off. He had 31 points. He was doing everything. He is the only way you can describe a guy like Dillon Brooks' play is just a pest. He is a pest. They have a shot of him like headbutting Mike Conley when nobody was looking. He's just like one of those like annoying guys who is very scrappy, which not unique. A lot of people do that. I feel like Chris Paul does that a lot and nobody notices it, but actually, yeah. Yeah, Chris Paul does do that a lot. And then but the Grizzlies ended up winning that one 112-109. The Hawks-Knicks, this one was super exciting too. We had the Garden going absolutely crazy because the Knicks had their chance to win their first playoff game in forever. And Trae Young was the villain of the night and silenced everybody by hitting a little floater at the end of the game with like 1 second left to get the Hawks up 107-105 and come off victorious. And then the other game was the 76ers and Wizards. And this one basically went how you thought it would. The 76ers held the lead throughout most of the game and came away with the win. Again, something I didn't touch on but need to touch on. In the Lakers-Suns game, there was a good amount of injuries or struggles happening. So LeBron James went down with a shoulder injury when Chris Paul went to box him out and then like tugged on his arm a little bit. The Suns, Chris Paul had to leave the game and go to the locker room in the first quarter and then came back. Everybody looks good now, but people are going to be talking about that. And then let's go to this. So here's a tweet from Justin Thomas. Golf is insane. It's just hitting me. The golf ball has no recollection of how old you are. Players compete at any age. You just have to work and be willing to sacrifice things others aren't. One day it's great, the next day it's awful. What sport I decided to play. This is in response to the PGA Championship, where Phil Mickelson, a 50-year-old, came off victorious and won that PGA Championship. The oldest person to win the PGA Championship in the past. So shout out Phil Mickelson. Awesome to see. Very big moment for him. And after the game, he said, "This may be the last PGA tour that I win, but maybe not. Maybe I just figured out a few things that I've been working on, and we'll see." So I guess we'll see what happens there. That's your news. Thanks for being a busy fan, and thanks for watching.